What's up, everybody? Marvel Cross 316 back with another comic book flashback. Today we are looking at Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 24. Today's title is Ultimatum here, and we're going to continue this story here. We see the return of the Green Goblin here, and he's basically been threatening the life of Spider-Man. He's threatened the loved ones of Spider-Man, and now we left off last issue and how Peter Parker was basically meeting up with Mrs. Bradley here in this empty classroom, and she's revealed some very intriguing stuff here. Basically, she says that she knows that Peter Parker is Spider Man, and she's like, okay, it looks like we're going to have to leave it up to you, sir. And so she looks over in the corner, and we see here that things start to get blurry all of a sudden, and Peter's like, get out of town. And all of a sudden, we see, yes, the image of Nick Fury here. This is going to be Nick Fury here, and he's basically saying, calm down, hotshot. We have important things to talk about and not much time to do it in. My name is Nick Fury. Have you heard of me? And so Peter drops his book bag here. And so previously in Ultimate Spider-Man, Norman Osborn was secretly developing a new wonder drug called Oz. Testing of this mystery drug genetically altered the spider that accidentally created Spider-Man. Now Norman Osborn demonstrates to Peter how he can turn himself into the horrifying monster known as the Green Goblin with a simple injection of Oz. Norman tells a terrified Peter that if Peter doesn't abide by his every wish, he will hurt or kill Aunt May or Mary Jane. Peter runs away terrified. And so let's go ahead now and give credit where credit is due. This is brought to you by Mark Bagley, who basically drew this issue. Brian Michael Bendis on the story. Art Thibert on the inking. Transparency Digital coloring here. And we have Chris Elapoulos on the lettering page. C.B. Sobolski, Associate Editor. Brian Smith, Associate Editor. Ralph Macchio, Editor. Joe Quesada, Editor-in-Chief, and Bill James, President and Inspiration here. And so what we're going to see in this issue basically is Nick Fury having a long talk with Peter Parker here in this empty classroom. And he's basically saying, look, Peter, look, I understand that you are under a lot of stress right now. And Peter's like, no kidding. I mean, the Green Goblin knows who I am, and he's threatening the life of the people I love the most. You have to do something, Nick. You have to do something, Colonel Fury. And so he's like, what are you doing in my high school? How do you know who I am? Nick Fury says, Peter, there's not much in this world I do not know. And Peter's like, how do you know? And so he says, Agent Bradley, how do we know about Peter exactly? Agent Bradley says, let's see, a bunch of ways. The Osborn Industries security tape, Otto Octavius hypnosis transcripts, the Librarian assault at the UN. Peter's like, oh man. Nick Fury says, consider it flattering. We're busy people, but we've been keeping a good eye on you. You're a modern medical miracle, Peter. Someone like you is of incredible interest of this complicated world. With that said, I normally wouldn't even approach you like this, because as interesting as your case is, you are a minor, and we have no jurisdiction over you yet. But with Norman Osborn rearing his conceited head again, it's time we had a talk here. And so, as they continue to talk, Peter gets up and he's like, I got to get out of here. And he's like, I wouldn't do that, son. He stops in right in the middle. I mean, he's about to just walk out, and he said, so sit. And then Peter's like, why would Osborn want to kill you? So we see here that Nick Fury reveals that Norman Osborn and him have actually worked together in the past. We see here that basically Nick Fury had a bunch of people that were trying to vie for his attention here. Norman Osborn was one of them. We find out that the Oz project basically was supposed to be a project for creating a super soldier serum, the same serum that created Captain America. And so we see that over time, Osborn became more and more of a threat to S.H.I.E.L.D., and so basically S.H.I.E.L.D. just cut him off from doing any kind of business with Norman Osborn, or basically with Shield. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. And so Norman Osborn over time got more and more just crazy with his ideas here. And then when Peter Parker got bitten by that radioactive spider that's responsible from, or basically came from Osborn Industries, that drew him over the edge here. And that's why he created this similar serum, the Oz drug, and that's how he became the Green Goblin. And this is all new information to Peter Parker. He had no idea that Norman Osborn was actually trying to replicate his same powers. He was trying to become another Spider Man, but instead he became something else, something worse, that being the Green Goblin. And so, as Peter Parker and Colonel Fury continue to talk here, we see here that look, they're on America. The American government isn't allowed to spy on Americans on American soil. It's against the law. I'm not here. Agent Bradley isn't here. And even though we know everything that's been going on, and we know that the Green Goblin has basically threatened your life, the life of your loved ones, we can't do anything about it. You're on your own. And Peter's like, "What? What are you talking about?" He said, "What about my aunt and Mary Jane?" He says, "Look, the minute that Norman Osborn threatens the life of those people, then we'll step in. But until then, we just have to wait." So Peter looks out the window. He sees Gwen Stacy and all his friends, and he said, "Look, just get out of my life. If you're not going to help, I'm just going to go to the police, or maybe even go to the, I don't know, just I'm going to get some help, basically." And he's like, "I want you people to leave me alone. You hear me?" We see Nick Fury says, "We will be there, Peter. Just have a little faith. The minute he shows up and threatens the life of your loved ones, we will be there." And then he says, "Peter, optimism is a revolutionary act." And then Peter says, "Who told you that? The guy who poked out your eye?" Nick Fury gets up in a rage and he's like, "Yes." Peter's like, "Sorry." Nick Fury says, "Don't worry about it." So as Peter finally leaves the room, we see Mary Jane and Harry Osborn want to meet up with Peter, but then Peter turns around and runs. So that's pretty odd. So Peter Parker returns to his home after school, and he notices a limousine is parked outside his house once again. And we see that Aunt May is being escorted out of the house, and she thinks that, this is just a fun joyride, but we know Norman Osborn's up to no good. So Peter convinces Aunt May here that, look, I don't trust Norman Osborn. I think he's a criminal. And he basically actually convinces Aunt May, let's just not go do this, okay? Norman Osborn is a sketchy guy. He was missing and now he's back, and I just don't trust him, Aunt May, please. So Aunt May says, "Okay." And she says to the woman, "Sorry, I think we're going to have to make it another time here." And so we see here that basically Peter Parker, it feels relieved here that Aunt May told them that you can just go bug off somewhere. So we see that now Spider-Man swings onto the city. He says, "That's it. Aunt May's my only family, and she's a lot more important than this stupid costume and these stupid powers. And if this is what my life as Spider-Man has come to, it's over. That's it." So as Spider-Man is swinging through the city, he comes across the Green Goblin. The Green Goblin says, "I thought I told you that costume, you're supposed to put it away. You're not supposed to be the Green Goblin anymore." Or basically, "You're not supposed to be Spider-Man anymore." And he says, "So I take it you're going to choose the road most bloody." And Spider-Man basically tells him off, saying, what did I do to you exactly? Why are you in my life?" And he starts to laugh here. And he's like, "I'm serious. If you want to fight like this, if you want to threaten my life and my friends, then so be it. I'm through with you." And so Peter is stepping up to the plate here. He's had enough of the Green Goblin. And the Green Goblin's like, "You will learn what responsibility means." He jumps off the ledge and he's flying away here. And so we see that later on, we see that Harry Osborn and Mary Jane have been hanging out. He basically escorted her to his place in this limousine. They're waiting on Peter Parker because Harry sent that limousine to pick up Harry, or basically pick up Peter Parker and his aunt. All of a sudden, from the sky, swoops down, picks up Mary Jane, and it just so happens to be the Green Goblin. And Spider-Man knows about it. And so that's how we end this issue. We'll have to worry about what happens next issue in issue number 25, I believe. And so we'll be looking at that. I hope to see you there. And until next time, keep reading comics.